The train screeched to a halt in the small Montana town just as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and dust. Clara stepped down onto the wooden platform, her heart pounding, harder with every second. She clutched a worn carpet bag, her fingers stiff from the long journey. This was never supposed to be her destination. She was only meant to accompany her cousin Anna, the real mail-order bride, ensuring she arrived safely. But illness, confusion, and a rushed ticket change had left Clara standing alone in Anna's place. A tall cowboy waited near the edge of the platform, hat pulled low, boots coated with trail dust. When his eyes settled on her, Clara felt the weight of his expectation. She swallowed hard and walked toward him before he could speak. "You ordered the wrong girl," she said quickly, her voice trembling despite her resolve. "There's been a mistake. I'm not the one you sent for." For a moment, she braced herself for anger, for disappointment sharp enough to send her straight back east. But the cowboy only studied her quietly, as if he were measuring something deeper than her face. His expression didn't change, and that unsettled her more than shouting would have. The wind swept across the platform, carrying the smell of hay and iron rails. Townsfolk glanced over, curious but silent. "I can explain," Clara continued, rushing her words. She told him about Anna, about the letters, about how she'd promised her aunt she'd see her cousin safely settled. She admitted she'd written some of the letters herself when Anna grew tired, never imagining those words would bind a stranger's future. "I'll take the next train back," she finished, her cheeks burning with shame. The cowboy finally spoke. "Name's Luke," he said calmly. "Ranch is north of here." He paused, then added, "You must be hungry." Clara blinked. That wasn't the response she'd prepared for. "You don't understand," she insisted. "I'm not your bride." Luke nodded slowly, as if he'd already considered that truth. "Train won't be back till morning," he said. "Town hotel's full. Least I can do is offer you supper." His voice carried no threat, only a steady confidence shaped by open land and long days. Against her better judgment, Clara followed him into town. The streets were simple, the buildings weathered but welcoming. Over coffee at the general store, Luke listened as she spoke again, softer now, explaining her worries, her debts back home, her fear of being trapped by a mistake. He didn't interrupt once. As the night settled in and the lanterns flickered on, Clara realized something unsettled her more than the error itself. Luke didn't look disappointed. If anything, he looked certain, and that certainty made her wonder whether this misunderstanding was not an accident at all, but the beginning of something neither of them had planned. Morning arrived quietly over the Montana plains, the sky pale and wide, stretching farther than anything Clara had ever known. She hadn't slept much on the narrow bed above the general store, her thoughts circling the same fear. By nightfall, she would be on a train heading back east. This strange chapter closed. When she came downstairs, Luke was already waiting, hat in hand, 2 cups of coffee steaming on the counter. He greeted her with the same calm smile, as if the day held no pressure at all. They walked outside together, the town still half asleep. Clara expected him to speak first, to correct the mistake or demand answers, but instead he asked about her journey, about her family, about the places she'd lived. His questions were gentle, never prying. Finally, unable to hold it in any longer, she stopped walking. "You don't have to be kind," she said. "I know I'm not who you asked for." Luke turned to face her, his expression serious now. He reached into his coat and pulled out a bundle of letters, edges worn from handling. "These are what I ordered," he said quietly. "Not a picture, not a name." He told her how he'd read those letters by lantern light after long days on the range, letters filled with honesty, resilience, and a hope that felt rare in a hard land. "Whoever wrote them understood this life," he said. "Understood me." Clara felt her throat tighten. She confessed then fully that many of those letters had been hers. Anna had grown careless, treating the arrangement as a gamble, But Clara had taken it seriously, shaping each word with care. She expected anger now, but Luke only nodded. "That explains it," he said simply. He offered her a choice, not a demand. She could leave on the evening train with money for the journey and no questions asked. Or she could stay through the winter, work at the ranch for fair pay, and decide her future without pressure. No promises, no contracts, just time. They rode north that afternoon, the land opening around them in rolling grass and distant mountains. The ranch was modest, but sturdy, shaped by patience rather than ambition. Clara learned quickly, mending fences, cooking for the hands, rising before dawn. The work was hard, but honest. Luke never crossed a line, never reminded her of the mistake that had brought her there. As weeks passed, Clara realized she wasn't counting days until departure anymore. She was counting sunrises, shared meals, quiet conversations after long hours. By the time spring softened the land, she understood the truth Luke had seen from the beginning. The order hadn't been wrong at all. It had simply taken the long way to arrive.